When a single father and his daughter share their restaurant table with a homeless woman and her son, they have no idea this one act of kindness will shatter their world, expose buried secrets, and force them to confront a truth that will change everything. Hey, beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I need to know, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Trust me, you're going to want to be part of this community. Now, let's jump in. The rain hammered against the diner windows like fists demanding entry. Ethan Kowalski barely noticed. He was too busy watching his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, meticulously arrange her French fries into a perfect grid on her plate, a habit she'd developed since her mother left. Since the night Rebecca walked out their front door with nothing but a suitcase and a lawyer's number, leaving behind a daughter who now spoke in whispers and organized food she barely ate. "Daddy, can we save some for later?" Lily asked, her voice small. Ethan's chest tightened. "Baby, we can order more. You don't have to." The diner door crashed open. Every head turned. Water streamed across the checkered floor as a woman stumbled inside, drenched and shaking. Her clothes hung like rags, her hair plastered to her face. But it was her eyes that caught Ethan, fierce, desperate, and fixed on something behind her. A little boy. He couldn't have been more than 6, clinging to her hand, open with both of his lips blue from cold. His sneakers were held together with duct tape. His jacket was 2 sizes too small. The diner went silent. Forks stopped mid-air. Conversations died. The hostess stepped forward, her smile tight. "I'm sorry, but—" "We have money," the woman said quickly. Her voice cracked. She pulled out a handful of crumpled bills and coins from her pocket, her hands trembling so violently the change scattered across the floor. The hostess didn't move to help her pick it up. Ethan felt Lily's small hand grip his arm. "Daddy!" He looked down. His daughter's eyes were wide, locked on the little boy whose teeth were chattering audibly now. The woman's voice broke through again. "Please, just coffee, and maybe some toast for my son. He hasn't eaten since yesterday." Yesterday. The word hung in the air like an accusation. The hostess glanced back at the manager, who gave a slight shake of his head. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice professionally pleasant and utterly cold. "We have a policy about—" "Excuse me." Ethan stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Every eye in the diner shifted to him. He felt his heart hammering, but kept his voice steady. "Our table has 2 empty seats." The woman's head snapped toward him. Up close, he could see she was younger than he'd thought, maybe late 20s. Her face was gaunt, but her eyes, God, her eyes held something that made his throat close up. Pride, desperation, and a mother's fierce, unyielding love. "Can we sit here?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan met her gaze and saw everything she wasn't saying. The shame, the fear, the last shred of dignity she was holding on to by asking instead of begging. "Please do," he said. The relief that flooded her face nearly broke him. As she guided her son to the booth, Lily scooted over without being asked, making room. The little boy sat down, and Lily immediately pushed her untouched plate of fries toward him. "I'm Lily," she said softly. "You can have these. I already ate a lot." She was lying. Ethan knew she was lying, and his heart swelled with pride, even as it shattered. The woman's name was Diana Prince. Her son was Noah, and in 48 hours, Ethan would discover that this rainy Tuesday night, This single moment of kindness was about to unravel every truth he thought he knew about his perfect life, his failed marriage, and the daughter sitting beside him who was arranging French fries for a homeless boy. Some acts of kindness open doors. Others expose the secrets hiding behind them. Diana's hands wouldn't stop shaking as she wrapped them around the coffee cup Ethan had ordered. Hot chocolate for Noah. Pancakes, eggs, toast. He'd ordered enough food to feed 4 people, his voice calm and casual, like he did this every Tuesday night. "I'll pay you back," Diana said, her voice firm despite the tremor. "I have a job interview Thursday, downtown. It's a real one, at a hotel. Housekeeping." Ethan waved her off. "Consider it paid forward. Someone did the same for me once." It was a lie. A kind one. But Diana caught it. He could see it in the way her jaw tightened, the flash of something in her eyes that looked like wounded pride mixed with gratitude she didn't want to feel. Across the table, Noah was eating slowly, carefully, like each bite might be his last. Lily watched him with the serious intensity only children possess when witnessing another child's pain. "Where do you go to school?" Lily asked. Noah's fork paused. He glanced at his mother. "We're between schools right now," Diana said quietly. "We've been staying at the women's shelter on Maple Street. They have a 2-week limit. We're on day 13. The confession landed heavy. Ethan saw her regret it immediately. The way her shoulders hunched, how she looked away. People didn't want to know the details. Details made them uncomfortable. Details made them see you as human, and that made it harder to look away. But Ethan didn't look away. "What happened?" The question came out before he could stop it. "I'm sorry. You don't have to. My husband died." Diana's voice was flat, emotionless. The kind of tone that came from repeating a nightmare until it became just words. "Car accident. 8 months ago. We had savings, but hospital bills, funeral costs. When the money ran out, the landlord gave us 30 days. I had a job, but my shift ended at midnight. No one would watch Noah that late. They fired me for missing too many days. Then we just fell. Fell, like it was that simple. Like the space between having a home and sleeping in a shelter was just one missed step. Ethan felt something crack open in his chest. A fissure he'd kept carefully sealed since Rebecca left. Since he'd learned that his wife of 10 years, the mother of his child, had been having an affair with her boss. Since the divorce papers cited irreconcilable differences and not, "I fell in love with someone who could offer me more." "I know what falling feels like," he said quietly. Diana's eyes met his, really met his, and for a moment the diner noise faded, the clatter of dishes, the murmur of judgment from nearby tables, the rain still hammering the windows. "Daddy builds buildings," Lily announced, breaking the moment. "Really tall ones. He says he makes homes for people." Diana's expression shifted. Something flickered across her face. Surprise? Recognition? It vanished before Ethan could identify it. "What's your last name?" she asked, her voice suddenly careful. "Kowalski. Ethan Kowalski." Diana went absolutely still, her coffee cup frozen halfway to her lips. "You're the Kowalski," she whispered. "Kowalski Development Group." And there it was, the moment everything changed. The temperature at the table dropped 10 degrees. Diana set down her coffee cup with trembling hands. Her face had gone pale, her eyes wide with something that looked dangerously close to panic. "We should go," she stood abruptly, grabbing Noah's arm. "Thank you for the meal, but we need to—" "Wait!" Ethan stood too, confused. What's wrong? What did I say? Diana was already pulling Noah from the booth, the little boy's protests muffled as she grabbed their wet jackets. Other diners were staring now, whispers rippling through the room. Diana, please! Ethan moved to block her path, hands raised in surrender. I don't understand. If I said something, you built the Sterling Towers. Her voice was barely audible, but each word hit like a physical blow. Luxury condos, downtown, where the old Riverside apartments used to be. Ethan's stomach dropped. Oh, God. You demolished them 6 months ago, Diana continued, her voice shaking with something darker now. Not fear, but fury held barely in check. 200 families displaced, given 30 days to relocate. Most of us couldn't find anything affordable. Most of us ended up exactly where I am now. The diner had gone completely silent. We lived there, Diana whispered. Unit 347. Noah's bedroom window overlooked the river. He loved watching the boats. We'd lived there for 4 years. It was all we could afford after Marcus, after my husband died. Then you bought the building. You tore it down. You built million-dollar condos where families used to live. Ethan felt the floor tilt beneath him. I didn't know. The company handles dozens of projects. I don't personally oversee. You signed the papers. Diana's eyes blazed. Your signature was on our eviction notice. I remember because Noah asked me what Kowalski meant. I told him it was just a name, just someone doing their job. She laughed, a bitter, broken sound. I sat across from that man. I let my son eat his food. I almost thanked him for his kindness. Her voice cracked. Come on, Noah. Mommy, wait. Noah reached back toward Lily, who had tears streaming down her face. Diana, please. Ethan grabbed her arm, gently, desperately. Let me help. Let me fix this. I have resources, connections. I can find you housing, a job, whatever you... She yanked her arm away like he'd burned her. You want to fix this? Her voice rose, drawing every eye in the diner. You can't. You took my home. You took the last stable thing my son had after losing his father. You can't buy that back with pancakes and pity. She pushed past him, pulling Noah toward the door. But as she reached for the handle, Lily's voice cut through the tension. Wait! You forgot this! She was holding something, a small, worn wallet that must have fallen from Diana's pocket. Diana turned back, and when Lily handed it to her, it fell open. Inside was a photograph. Ethan caught only a glimpse, but it was enough to make his blood run cold. The man in the photo, holding a younger Noah and Diana, he knew that face. Ethan couldn't breathe. The photograph burned into his vision even after Diana snatched the wallet closed. But he'd seen enough. The man's face, the smile, the way he held Diana and Noah like they were his entire world. Marcus Prince. No, not Marcus. Michael Prince. The name slammed into Ethan's memory like a freight train. Michael Prince, the construction foreman who'd worked for Kowalski Development Group for 6 years. The man who'd died 8 months ago when a drunk driver ran a red light on Route 9. The man whose funeral Ethan had attended. Whose widow he'd never met because Rebecca had handled all the company condolences, all the arrangements, all the paperwork. Rebecca. Your husband worked for me, Ethan said, his voice hollow. Diana froze at the door, her back to him. Noah clutched her hand, confused and frightened by the adult's strange dance. He worked himself to death for you, Diana said quietly. 60-hour weeks, Overtime he never got paid for because he was salary. He missed Noah's 5th birthday because you had a deadline. He missed our anniversary because concrete needed to be poured. And when he died, she turned around. Tears streaked her face. But her voice was steady now, cold. When he died, your company sent flowers and a check for $2,000. That's what 6 years of loyalty bought. $2,000 that barely covered the funeral costs your company's health insurance wouldn't. Ethan felt sick. I didn't know. Rebecca handled all personnel issues. Your wife. Diana's laugh was sharp. Oh, I met your wife. She came to the hospital once, stayed 5 minutes, told me Michael was one of the good ones, and handed me a pamphlet about grief counseling. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She never mentioned you owned the building we lived in. She never mentioned you were about to evict us. The pieces were falling into place, jagged and wrong. The Sterling Towers project, Ethan said slowly. Rebecca pushed that deal. She said the Riverside apartments were a perfect opportunity. Prime location. Minimal resistance from tenants. She handled all the logistics. I just signed what she put in front of me. He'd been drowning in work, drowning in the collapse of his marriage. He'd signed dozens of documents without reading them properly, trusting Rebecca to handle the details like she always had. God, what had he done? I'm sorry. The words felt pathetically inadequate. Diana, I am so sorry. Let me make this right. Please. How? Diana's voice cracked. How do you make this right? You going to bring back Michael? You going to give Noah his father back? You going to rebuild our home? I can find you an apartment, tonight. I own several properties. You and Noah can stay. I don't want your charity. Diana's shout made Noah flinch. She immediately dropped to her knees, pulling her son close. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Lily had slipped out of the booth. She walked slowly to Noah, her small hand reaching out. My mommy left too, she whispered. She didn't die. She just left. But it still hurts, like something's missing inside that won't ever come back. Noah's lip trembled. My daddy's not coming back either. I know, Lily said, and then she hugged him. This little girl who barely spoke anymore, who organized French fries and lived in whispers, wrapped her arms around a homeless boy in a diner, while adults' mistakes rained down around them. Diana's face crumpled. Ethan felt his heart crack completely open. 1 week, he said quietly. Stay in one of my properties for 1 week. Let me help you prepare for your interview. Let me try to fix what I broke. If after a week you still want nothing to do with me, I'll respect that. But please, let me do this for Michael. Anna looked at her son, still holding Lily like a lifeline. Mommy, Noah whispered. I'm so tired. And Ethan watched Diana Prince's last wall crumble. The apartment Ethan provided wasn't just an apartment. It was a furnished 2-bedroom in the Grandview complex, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city and a kitchen bigger than Diana's entire unit at Riverside had been. This is too much, Diana said, for the 3rd time in an hour, standing in the living room while Noah explored his new bedroom with wide, disbelieving eyes. It's empty anyway, Ethan said. I keep a few units available for out-of-town clients. No one's using it. Another lie. A kind one. He'd called his property manager at midnight and had the place cleaned, stocked with groceries and filled with children's books and toys within 6 hours. That had been 3 days ago. Now, Ethan sat at his office desk, unable to focus on blueprints or contracts or the dozen projects that demanded his attention. Instead, he was scrolling through files on his computer, personnel records, financial reports, everything Rebecca had handled during their marriage. What he found made his blood turn to ice. The Riverside Apartments demolition. Rebecca had purchased the building through a shell company 6 months before Michael Prince's death. She'd kept the tenants' rent payments while secretly planning the eviction. She'd denied Michael's widow the full death benefits he was owed, claiming he wasn't eligible for the maximum payout because of performance issues. Performance issues Michael never had. Then Ethan found the emails. The wife is asking questions about the Riverside property. Handle it. Prince's widow doesn't need to know about our plans. Keep her in the dark until the eviction notices go out. We can't have employees knowing we're displacing them. Bad for morale. Deal with it quietly. All sent from Rebecca's email. All marked confidential. His wife hadn't just been having an affair. She'd been systematically destroying Michael Prince's family while sleeping with her boss, who happened to be the investor backing the Sterling Towers project. Ethan's phone buzzed. A text from Diana. Noah's interview outfit arrived. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. He'd sent professional clothes for her job interview. He'd arranged childcare for Noah. He'd made calls to contacts in the hospitality industry to ensure her application got serious consideration. He was trying to fix the unfixable. His phone rang. Not Diana, his lawyer. Ethan, we have a problem, James said without preamble. Rebecca's filing an emergency custody motion. She's claiming you're an unfit parent. The world tilted. What? She says you're bringing dangerous strangers around Lily, that you're neglecting your daughter's welfare by getting involved with homeless individuals who could pose a risk. She has witnesses, people from that diner. She's using your kindness against you. Ethan's hand tightened on the phone. She's doing this because I found out. She knows I found the files. What files? Before Ethan could answer, his office door burst open. Diana stood there, her face white, her hands shaking. Not with fear this time, with fury. You need to see this. She thrust her phone at him. On the screen was a news article dated 8 months and 2 days ago, 3 days after Michael's death. Kowalski Development CEO's wife arrested for DUI, released without charges. The article was brief, barely a footnote. Rebecca Kowalski had been arrested on Route 9 after being pulled over for erratic driving. Blood alcohol level 12. She'd been released 2 hours later. Charges mysteriously dropped. The date, the location, the timing. Route 9, Diana whispered. That's where Michael was killed. A drunk driver ran a red light at the intersection of Route 9 and Pinewood. Ethan felt the room spin. The police said they never caught the driver, Diana continued, her voice shaking. Hit and run. No witnesses, no cameras at that intersection. They said whoever did it probably didn't even realize they'd hit someone. Just drove away. Their eyes met. Ethan, Diana said slowly, what time was Michael killed? He didn't need to look it up. He'd been at that funeral. He'd heard the details. 11:47 p.m. Diana's fingers flew across her phone. She pulled up another article, another headline. Rebecca Kowalski arrested, 11:53 p.m. 6 minutes. 6 minutes after Michael Prince died on Route 9, Rebecca had been pulled over 6 blocks away. Oh my God, Ethan breathed. Diana's voice was barely a whisper. Your wife killed my husband. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and bureaucracy. Detective Sarah Martinez listened to everything. The timeline, the arrest record, the location, the mysteriously dropped charges. She took notes with an expression that gave away nothing. "This is circumstantial," she said finally. "DUI arrest doesn't prove vehicular homicide. The accident report says your husband was hit by a dark sedan. We don't know what Mrs. Kowalski was driving that night." "She drives a black Mercedes," Ethan said. His voice sounded dead even to his own ears. "Drove," Detective Martinez corrected. "According to DMV records, that vehicle was sold to a salvage yard 2 days after the arrest, totaled out. Owner claimed it was from a previous accident, damage from hitting a deer weeks earlier." Diana made a sound like she'd been punched. "Can you get the salvage records?" Ethan demanded. "Examine the car?" "There has to be evidence. Mr. Kowalski, the car was crushed and scrapped 7 months ago." Martinez's tone was sympathetic but firm. "Without physical evidence, without witnesses, we have a DUI arrest and a hit and run that happened in the same vicinity around the same time. That's not enough for the DA." "She had the charges dropped," Diana said, her voice hollow. "How? How does someone get DUI charges dropped in 6 hours?" Martinez hesitated. "Her father is Judge Richard Dawson. He made some calls." The name hit Ethan like a slap. Rebecca's father, the man who'd never approved of their marriage, who'd called Ethan new money, with barely concealed contempt, the man with enough connections to bury anything. "So that's it?" Diana stood abruptly, her chair scraping harsh against linoleum. "She kills my husband, destroys my life, and walks away because her daddy's a judge?" "I'm sorry," Martinez said quietly. "I truly am. But without evidence, then we find evidence." Ethan stood too. "There has to be something. Phone records, security footage, something." "Mr. Kowalski." Martinez's voice stopped him at the door. "Be very careful. If Rebecca suspects you're investigating her, she could make your life extremely difficult. Rich people have ways of protecting themselves." They left the station in silence. In the parking lot, Diana turned to him. "She's going after Lily, isn't she? That custody motion, it's not about your daughter, it's about shutting you up." Ethan's phone buzzed. His lawyer again. "Emergency hearing is scheduled for tomorrow morning," James said. "Rebecca's team is moving fast. They're claiming you're having a mental breakdown, making false accusations, putting Lily at risk with conspiracy theories. They have affidavits from her therapist, her father, 3 character witnesses." "What about my witnesses?" "Who, Ethan? The homeless woman you've been helping? They'll tear that apart. They'll say you're being manipulated, that Diana is using you to go after Rebecca for money." Ethan looked at Diana, saw the defeat creeping into her eyes. "I need to go," she said quietly. "This was a mistake. I never should have—" "Don't!" Ethan grabbed her hand. "Don't run. Please. Your lawyer's right. I'm making everything worse. Rebecca's going to take Lily from you, and it's my fault for dragging you into this. For wanting justice for Michael when I should just— Should just what? Accept that she murdered your husband and got away with it?" Diana pulled her hand away. "Look at me, Ethan. I'm homeless. I've got nothing. No money, no power, no proof. She's a judge's daughter, with lawyers and connections. This isn't a fight I can win. This isn't a fight you can win. Not without losing everything that matters. So we just let her get away with it?" "You save your daughter." Diana's voice cracked. "That's what you do. You go to that hearing tomorrow. You apologize to Rebecca. You do whatever it takes to keep Lily. Because that little girl needs her father. And I won't be the reason she loses you, too. She walked away, across the parking lot, into the evening shadows. Ethan stood frozen, watching her go, watching another person he'd failed disappear into the darkness. His phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Kowalski. Rebecca's voice was silk over steel. We need to talk about tomorrow. I'm willing to be reasonable about custody. Shared arrangement. Minimal disruption to Lily. But only if you stop this investigation. Stop filling Diana Prince's head with fantasies. Move on. You killed him. Ethan's voice shook. You killed Michael, and you framed it like I was responsible for destroying his family. Rebecca laughed, light, carefree. Prove it. Oh, wait, you can't. See you in court, darling. I hope you said goodbye to Lily properly. The line went dead. Ethan stood alone in the parking lot as rain began to fall, the same cold rain that had been falling the night. This all started. He'd never felt more powerless in his life. Ethan didn't sleep that night. Instead, he sat in Lily's room, watching her sleep, the way her small chest rose and fell, the way she clutched her stuffed rabbit like it was the only stable thing in a tilting world. Tomorrow, he might lose her. Tomorrow, Rebecca might take away the one pure thing left in his shattered life. At 3 a.m., his phone lit up. A text from an unknown number. I found something. Meet me at the diner. Now. Diana. 20 minutes later, Ethan slid into the same booth where this had all started. Diana sat across from him, her laptop open, eyes blazing with something that looked like hope wrapped in fury. I couldn't sleep, she said. So I started digging. Real digging. I called Michael's old crew, the guys he worked with, and I found someone who remembered something. She turned the laptop toward him. This is Tommy Rodriguez. He was Michael's assistant foreman. He left the company 3 months after Michael died. Said the work environment became toxic. Look what he sent me. On the screen was a photo taken from a construction site. Cheers. Dated 8 months and 3 days ago, the day after Michael's death. In the image, Rebecca stood next to a black Mercedes. The front driver's side was visibly damaged, headlights smashed, bumper crumpled, hood dented. Tommy took this because he thought it was weird, Diana explained, her words tumbling out fast. Rebecca showed up at the site the morning after Michael died. She was asking questions about him, what projects he'd worked on, whether he'd mentioned any problems at home, whether he seemed distracted. Tommy thought she was being sympathetic. But look at her car. Ethan stared at the damage. Fresh damage. Tommy said she claimed she hit a deer, Diana continued. But he remembered thinking it was strange because the damage was wrong. Front-end impact. Low position. He'd hit a deer before. The damage looks different. Higher. This was low, like she'd hit something. Or someone, Ethan finished, his heart pounding. Diana nodded. Tommy kept the photo because something felt off. He forgot about it until I called tonight. He's willing to testify. Rebecca's lawyers will destroy him. They'll say the photo doesn't prove anything. Maybe not alone. Diana pulled up another file. But I also found the mechanic who inspected the car before the salvage yard took it. His name is Frank Chen. He kept detailed notes, he always does, in case of insurance disputes. He documented paint transfer on the bumper. Dark blue paint. Michael was wearing his blue work jacket when he died. Ethan felt electricity surge through his veins. Can he testify? He said he would. But Ethan, Diana's voice dropped. Even with this, Rebecca's father can make it disappear. We need more. We need something that proves she had the charges dropped deliberately. Something that connects all of it. Ethan's mind raced, then stopped. "The dash cam," he whispered. Diana frowned. "What?" "Rebecca's Mercedes. I had dash cams installed in all our vehicles 2 years ago after a fender bender. Front and rear cameras. Automatic upload to cloud storage." His hands were shaking as he pulled out his phone. "She never knew about the cloud backup. Only I have the access codes." He logged in, scrolled through dates, found the night, 11:47 p.m. His finger hovered over the file. "If this shows what I think it shows—" He couldn't finish the sentence. Diana reached across the table, her hand covering his. "Then we finally have the truth." Ethan pressed play. The video was dark, grainy, but clear enough. Rebecca's car driving down Route 9. Her face visible in the interior camera, makeup smeared, eyes unfocused. Drunk. Then the exterior camera. A figure in dark clothing crossing the street. Michael Prince in his blue work jacket, walking home from the late shift. Rebecca's car swerved, accelerated. The impact was sickening, even without sound. The car didn't stop, didn't even slow down. Michael's body disappeared beneath the frame, and Rebecca kept driving. Ethan watched his wife, the woman he'd built a life with, who'd given him a daughter, commit murder and drive away like she'd hit a pothole. When the video ended, the diner was silent except for Diana's quiet crying. "We have her," Ethan said, his voice hard as stone. "We finally have her." Diana wiped her eyes, her expression transforming from grief to determination. "The custody hearing is in 5 hours. Then we have 5 hours to make sure Rebecca never hurts anyone again." Ethan made 3 phone calls. First, to Detective Martinez, "I'm emailing you a video. Watch it. Then get a warrant." Second, to his lawyer, "File an emergency motion. I'm submitting new evidence in the custody case." Third, to his sister, "I need you to stay with Lily. Don't let Rebecca near her. Don't let anyone near her. I'll explain everything soon." When he hung up, Diana was staring at him with something that looked like awe. "You're going to lose everything," she said quietly. "Your wife, your reputation, half your company in the divorce. People will talk." Ethan thought of Michael Prince, of Noah growing up without a father, of Lily learning to whisper instead of laugh. "I already lost everything that mattered," he said. "Now I'm getting it back." Diana smiled, real and bright for the first time since they'd met. "Then, let's go to war." The courtroom was packed. Rebecca sat at the plaintiff's table in a designer suit, her lawyer, a shark named Garrett Humphrey, whispering confidently in her ear. Her father, Richard Dawson, sat in the gallery, his presence a silent threat. Ethan entered with James and felt every eye turn toward him. Whispers rippled through the room. He'd barely slept. His suit was wrinkled. He probably looked exactly like the unstable man Rebecca's team would paint him as. He didn't care. Diana slipped into the back row with Noah. Their eyes met across the courtroom, and she nodded once. Courage. Judge Patricia Molina, no connection to the Dawson family, thank God, took the bench. "We're here for an emergency custody hearing. Mrs. Kowalski is seeking sole custody of the minor child, Lily Kowalski. Mr. Humphrey, proceed." Rebecca's lawyer stood, his smile sharp. "Your Honor, my client is a devoted mother whose only concern is her daughter's welfare. Mr. Kowalski has exhibited increasingly erratic behavior. forming inappropriate relationships with homeless individuals, making wild accusations against his wife, neglecting his daughter's emotional needs during this difficult time. He presented affidavits, a therapist claiming Ethan showed signs of paranoid delusions, witnesses from the diner who'd seen him aggressively confront his wife, Rebecca's father testifying to Ethan's unstable mental state. It was a masterpiece of manipulation. Mr. Kowalski has dragged his daughter into a dangerous situation, Humphrey concluded. For Lily's safety, we request immediate sole custody to Mrs. Kowalski. Judge Molina turned to Ethan. Mr. Kowalski, your response? James stood. Your Honor, we have evidence that Mrs. Kowalski is the danger. Evidence of crimes she's committed and covered up. Evidence that directly impacts this custody case. Rebecca's eyes flashed. Her father leaned forward. Strong accusation, Counselor, Judge Molina said. I hope you can back it up. We can. James pulled up a laptop. 8 months ago, Michael Prince, a foreman for Kowalski Development, was killed in a hit-and-run on Route 9. The driver was never found. That same night, Mrs. Kowalski was arrested for DUI 6 blocks from the accident scene, 6 minutes after time of death. The charges were mysteriously dropped within hours. Objection! Humphrey shot up. This is a custody hearing, not a criminal trial. These accusations are relevant, James interrupted, because they establish a pattern of behavior that makes Mrs. Kowalski unfit for custody. She's a murderer who used her father's influence to evade justice. And we have proof. The courtroom erupted. Judge Molina's gavel cracked like thunder. Order! Mr. Kowalski, this is an extraordinary claim. I have the dash-cam footage from my wife's car, Your Honor. Ethan's voice cut through the chaos. It shows everything. The impact. Michael Prince's death, Rebecca driving away without stopping. Rebecca's face went white. Her father stood, his voice booming. This is outrageous. My daughter is being... Sit down, Judge Dawson, Molina said coldly. You're a spectator here, not a jurist. Mr. Kowalski, show me this footage. James played the video on the courtroom screen. The room went deathly silent. Everyone watched Rebecca's car strike Michael Prince, watched her keep driving, watched her commit murder in high definition. When it ended, Rebecca was shaking. That's fake. Deep fake. He manufactured... We've had it authenticated, James said calmly. Metadata confirms the date, time, and original source. We also have testimony from the mechanic who documented paint transfer matching the victim's clothing. Photographs of vehicle damage taken the next morning. And we have the arresting officer's body cam footage. He played that too. Rebecca slurring her words during the traffic stop, failing sobriety tests. Then a phone call, her father's voice off camera demanding her immediate release, the charges being dropped before she even left the station. Your Honor, James continued, Mrs. Kowalski killed a man, used her father's position to cover it up, and then systematically destroyed his widow and child, evicting them from their home, denying them death benefits, leaving them homeless. This is who's asking for sole custody of a minor child. Judge Molina's expression was stone. Mrs. Kowalski, do you wish to respond? Rebecca's lawyer was whispering frantically to her, but she pushed him away. Stood. Her mask of composure finally cracked. He was in the street, she said, her voice shrill. He came out of nowhere. I didn't see him until it was dark. I'd had a few drinks. It was an accident. You drove away, Ethan said, his voice breaking. You let him die alone in the street, and you drove away. I panicked. I called my father. He said he'd handle it. I didn't know what else to—" She stopped, realizing too late she'd just confessed to everything. The courtroom doors burst open. Detective Martinez entered with two uniformed officers. "Rebecca Kowalski, you're under arrest for vehicular manslaughter, hit and run resulting in death, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy to commit fraud," Rebecca screamed as they put her in handcuffs. Her father was shouting about lawyers and rights and consequences. Humphrey was gathering papers with shaking hands, and Ethan just stood there, watching his wife, the woman who'd shared his bed, his life, his daughter, being dragged away for murder. Judge Molina banged her gavel. "Custody is awarded solely to Mr. Kowalski, pending criminal proceedings. This hearing is adjourned." In the chaos of the emptying courtroom, Ethan found Diana. She was crying, great heaving sobs of relief and grief, and justice finally served. "He didn't die for nothing," she whispered. "Michael didn't die for nothing." Ethan pulled her into his arms, and for the first time in 8 months, Diana Prince let herself be held. Noah tugged on Ethan's sleeve. "Does this mean my mommy doesn't have to be sad anymore?" Ethan knelt down, eye level with the little boy. "Your mommy will always miss your daddy. But now she knows what happened. Now she has answers. That helps. Sometimes." "And we have a home?" Noah asked quietly. "You have a home," Ethan promised, "for as long as you need one." Behind them, Lily appeared. Ethan's sister had brought her to the courthouse when the verdict came through. She walked straight to Noah and took his hand. "Want to come see my room?" she asked. "I have a lot of stuffed animals. You can pick one to keep." As the children walked away together, Diana looked at Ethan with eyes full of tears and something else, something new. "Thank you," she said. "I should be thanking you," Ethan replied. "You reminded me what matters, what's worth fighting for." "What happens now?" Ethan thought about it, about Michael Prince, about second chances, about two broken families that might, somehow, become whole. "Now," he said, "we heal." 6 months later. The community center ribbon-cutting ceremony was packed with faces Ethan had come to know well. Families from the old Riverside apartments, former employees of Kowalski Development, city council members, and reporters documenting the city's newest affordable housing initiative. But Ethan's eyes kept drifting to the front row. Diana stood there in a smart blazer, her hair styled, her face radiant. Beside her, Noah wore his little suit, the same one Ethan had bought him for Diana's job interview, now slightly too small because the boy had actually started growing again. Eating regularly did that. And next to Noah, holding his hand like she'd never let go, was Lily, his daughter, who laughed now, who spoke in full volume, who'd stopped arranging food she wouldn't eat and started living again. "Mr. Kowalski?" The event coordinator touched his arm. "We're ready for your speech." Ethan took the podium, looking out at the crowd gathered in front of the newly renovated building. The Michael Prince Memorial Housing Complex, 40 affordable units, rent-controlled. For families who'd been displaced, who'd fallen through the cracks, who needed a second chance. 8 months ago, Ethan began, I thought I understood what it meant to build homes. I had degrees, awards, properties across the city. But I didn't understand anything. He found Diana's eyes in the crowd. A wise woman taught me that homes aren't just buildings. They're safety, dignity, the foundation that lets families heal and grow and hope. When we tear those down, whether through greed or negligence, or simply not paying attention, we don't just destroy structures. We destroy lives. His voice thickened with emotion. Michael Prince was a good man who worked himself to exhaustion building other people's dreams while his own family struggled. He deserved better. His family deserved better. This building, and the 10 more we're breaking ground on next month, is my attempt to honor his memory. To make sure no family in this city falls through the cracks the way his did. The crowd applauded. Ethan stepped down, but Diana was already walking toward him, Noah and Lily trailing behind. "Beautiful speech," she said, her eyes shining. "I meant every word." He hesitated, then added quietly, "How are you? Really?" Diana smiled, that real smile he'd come to treasure. "I'm good, really good. The hotel promoted me to supervisor. Noah starts 3rd grade in 2 weeks at a school he actually loves. We have a home." They lived in Unit 201 of the complex. Diana had insisted on paying rent despite Ethan's protests. She'd wanted to earn it, she said, wanted to rebuild her life on her own terms. He'd never admired anyone more. "And you?" Diana asked. "How's the custody arrangement working?" Rebecca was in prison, 7 years for vehicular manslaughter, with additional charges pending for obstruction of justice. Her father had resigned from the bench in disgrace. The legal battles were over, but the emotional ones continued. "Lily's in therapy," Ethan said. "We both are. She's angry at her mother, confused. But she's processing it, getting stronger every day. She's an incredible kid. Because she has an incredible friend." Ethan watched the children playing near the refreshment table. Noah was teaching Lily some complicated hand-clapping game, both of them laughing. "She was so lost before. You and Noah, you gave her something to care about again, someone to protect and help and love. That saved her." "She saved Noah, too," Diana said softly. Having a friend who understood loss, it made him feel less alone. They stood in comfortable silence, watching their children. "Ethan," Diana said finally, "can I ask you something? Anything. That first night at the diner, why did you really invite us to sit down? You didn't know who I was. You didn't know about Michael. You just helped. Why?" Ethan thought back to that rainy Tuesday night, to the moment he'd seen a desperate mother trying to feed her son, to Lily's small hand gripping his arm. "Because," he said, "someone needed help, and I could give it." It should have been that simple all along. Diana's hand found his, their fingers intertwined naturally, easily, like they'd been doing this for years instead of months. "You know people are going to talk," she said. "Rich developer, his employee's widow. They'll say I manipulated you, that you're trying to ease your guilt, that this is... I don't care what they say." Ethan turned to face her fully. "Diana, you're the strongest, most compassionate, most extraordinary person I've ever met. Being with you and Noah isn't about guilt or obligation. It's about finding something real in the wreckage. About building something new that honors what Michael started. A family that loves and protects and shows up for each other." Diana's eyes filled with tears. "Michael would have liked you. Once you stopped being an oblivious workaholic who signed eviction notices without reading them." Ethan laughed, real laughter that felt like healing. "I'm working on that. I have excellent teachers." He squeezed her hand. "So what do you say? Think we can do this? Navigate the complicated, messy, beautiful work of becoming a family?" "Mommy! Mr. Ethan!" Noah came running over, Lily right behind him. "Can we show you the playground? There's a rocket ship." Diana looked at Ethan, her smile brighter than the summer sun. "I think we're already doing it." As they walked toward the playground, two adults and two children who'd found each other in the darkest moment and chose to build something beautiful from the broken pieces. Ethan felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Peace. The past couldn't be changed. Michael Prince was gone. Rebecca's crimes had devastated lives. The hurt was real and permanent. But so was this. Noah's laughter as he climbed the rocket ship. Lily's confidence as she helped him reach the top. Diana's hand in his, warm and steady and sure. "Can we sit here?" Diana had asked that rainy night, her voice small and desperate. "Please do," he'd answered. Such simple words. Such an extraordinary beginning. As the sun set over the city, painting the Michael Prince Memorial Housing Complex in gold, Ethan realized that sometimes the most important thing you can build isn't made of concrete and steel. It's made of compassion, second chances, and the courage to say yes when someone needs help, even if it changes everything. Especially if it changes everything.